Yo, what's up? How y'all doing today on this beautiful, beautiful Mother's Day weekend? Yo, this is a special edition, y'all. This is going to be one of three editions that I want to talk about. Um, and I know it's on a weird weekend, but my hopes and prayer was to have this where it would bring some healing to some families because we're living in a different community, right? Different things are happening. And everybody know this is Love in Our Communities, Dr. Omar Howard. You know, I'm talking about community situations and circumstances and how we can find positive things that to impact our community. But this weekend is something different because it's a personal situation for me, but it's also personal for my guest today. And I want to introduce everyone here today as we go straight into these conversations. But if you want to reach out to us, you can call us at 470-251-4647. If you have any phone calls, you have any question for any one of my guests, please call back. If you have a question for me, please call once again at 470-251-4647, or you can get on Status Network. You can download it on your apps and get all this content and pass it on to somebody else. Share it on your page and on your platforms. I promise you're going to love this show today. First of all, once again, I want to thank all of you for coming on this special weekend, especially these mothers, right?
Thank you.
Real touchy situation for me, and I know it had to be more touchy for y'all. But I want to introduce, and I'll let y'all introduce yourself first, all right? And I'm going to start with the ladies first, all right? Young lady, if you mind.
I'm Angel.
All right.
I'm Zanetta.
Zanetta.
And everybody know me as Boo Man.
Boo Man. Of course, y'all know Dr. Omar. All right. But I want to share something today. And I know it's tough for y'all ladies because it's Mother's Day weekend, but I thank you for the courage to be able to come in here and talk about a situation that's probably, regardless of how much you talk about it, and yet I'm trying to figure out how do you cope with the pain of gun violence, especially when it hits home, right? And I know a lot of people talk about it, but when it hits home, it's a different hit. And I want to start with you, Ms. Zanetta, because not only did you have to deal with the situation, but you also started a movement behind this, right? But I want you to, if you'll give us a brief, your son name and the situation that happened and why you're here today.
Well, my son name is Dre Henry, and he was murdered April 26th of 2019 in our hometown of Waynesboro, Mississippi. He was actually just hanging out, just hanging out with his friends, or people that said that they were friends, and the accused walked up and shot him multiple times from behind. I'm here today because, like you said, it brings healing to be able to talk about it, to be able to share with other people, and just continuing to keep my son's name alive.
That's right.
And sharing with as many people as I can.
How old was your son when this
He
happened?
was 22 years old.
He was 22 years old.
Mm-hmm. We just celebrated his 27th birthday,
Wow.
the 4th of May.
When you got that phone call that night, how was that phone call?
When I got the phone call, it was unbelievable, but yet I was still able somehow to kind of keep my composure. My sister called me. I had actually just finished eating my dinner, walked back inside, and just as I laid the phone on the table and took my shoe off, she called, and she was screaming in the phone that something had happened to Dre. And at that moment, my heart just dropped because I just knew that it wasn't good at all, just from the sound of her voice. And I immediately just started saying, "Where is he?" And I almost broke down, but I remembered, and I just reminded myself, you can't do anything if you break down. You got to go and see, because it could not be fatal. And you got to be able to coach him back in, or whatever you need to do.
Because you couldn't believe it at the moment.
I could not.
Didn't want to hear anything. Yes.
No, I was totally shocked, just like, oh my God. But it was something that I haven't forgotten. A lot of people say you bury things, forget it. I don't talk a whole lot about it, But it's not that I don't remember. I just choose not to live in that moment.
Boo Man.
Yeah.
Right. Call you. We're gonna go about Boo Man.
Yeah.
So he introduced himself.
All right.
You got that phone call, man.
Yeah.
And it's amazing, right? I invited my brother here for a reason. Like, I remember on Facebook when you posted, like, man, they took my son from me, man.
Yeah.
And man, it hit me like, cause I haven't lost a son, thank God. And you see mothers all the time, right?
Yeah.
When I see fathers cry, man, like as a father for me, man, I'm just like, I dread to ever in my life receive a message call like that.
Okay.
As a father, where was you at that moment, man, mentally?
And my wife, I'm a truck driver. So, that night there, my wife said, well, you don't have to come all the way home. I used to get a room, like out there. I used to work out Jimmy Carter. So, of course, my job, they offer us hotels.
Yeah.
So that night there, we ate at Papados. We was eating at Papados that night. And the Hawks were getting ready to play. So I had to get up at 12 o'clock that night to get back on the road. So we ate dinner, went to the room, and we laid down. I was like, we figured get ready to look at the game. And my wife, I was like, baby, nah, man, we can't look at no game. I got to get up at 12 o'clock. It was already like 8:30, 9 o'clock. So, we turned the lights off, went to sleep. Get a phone call about 10:30 from his sister. And we heard his sister's like, Key just been shot. But she said he had got shot in the leg. So I was like, baby, well, don't panic. It's a leg shot. Maybe they know how to put pressure on it. We just get up and just get on over to the house. Because we had to come from Jimmy Carter all the way to Covington. So that's almost like 45-minute ride, So, of course, I got in my car, turned the house lights on. Nothing can stop me from getting it. Police pull them up, you got to deal with it.
Yeah.
So I get there, so we jump up and leave. So by the time we get there and see the scene, and all the police and everybody standing out, and I just couldn't believe when I seen that car. It was just riddled with bullets, and at the same time, they had already rushed him to the hospital. And once you get there and see your son's blood just draining out of the car on the ground where he was laying, it was like we couldn't believe it. So they told us to leave, go ahead and go to the hospital. Once we got there, we got like 5 minutes from the hospital, man. And by the time we got to the hospital, they were calling us saying they was gone. We was literally like 5 minutes from the hospital. And it still bothers me to this day, man. It still bothers me to this day.
And so, as a man trying to hold the house together, hold your wife together, the other siblings, where was you at then, man? Like, how I'm trying to really put these words together, man, because I'm almost feeling myself in that picture right now.
Yeah.
And how strong did you have to be because you had a wife there?
You had to be
or was she the one being strong? How did that go?
We were both leaning on both each other, really, man. Because once it hit, it's like you said, it hit home so hard, and it catch you off guard to where like you don't even know what to think, And then you start hearing these little different names that who could have been involved. Then you start looking for this person, and you may find and get in trouble. Your emotions be so far caught up in it, man. You just be looking for revenge.
And coming back from being a street dude.
Yeah.
Like all this stuff is coming back out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just coming back like you just want revenge, man. And it was like, to one point, just being real, I almost did do something wrong.
Yeah.
To the wrong person. Then at the end, after the investigation, I had to go back to that same person that I thought and apologize to him.
Wow.
Because he was that close.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Then I'm that close to losing my life.
Yeah.
For the rest of my life. You know what I mean? So.
And we ain't young no more.
Nah,
we ain't young no more.
No more.
Wow.
So
we ain't that young. Like we used to be, right? So, wow, man. I'm like, it's taken a lot for me to ask these questions. Because I don't had to deal with this so much. Yeah. Speak at candlelight vigils and talk to parents and hear it. wake up, and I wake up in the morning sometimes, and I'm sitting on the side of the bed. People don't know a lot. I only told a few people in life. Just I sit up sometimes for like, what can I do more? Like, even though I may not know your son, or didn't know his son personally, knew him but didn't know his son, but then I knew her son personally. I worked with her son personally. He's been in my youth programs personally, and I get the news while we playing cards, because somebody said something to me, and I was like, it didn't register to me, right? I couldn't believe it, right? So I'm coming to you last for a reason, because this is your first time ever speaking about this, and I know, single mother, right? Only child. You get a phone call.
Actually, it was a little bit different for me. I didn't really get a phone call. Gabe was outside, and he was with his friends or whatever. I spoke to him, what I understand now to be 47 minutes before everything happened. Normal night, everything regular. For me, it was, he always knew, you better be home for curfew. We had this bond of understanding. He know he didn't play, we didn't play with each other. It was, always respecting with us. When he didn't make it home for curfew, I knew something was wrong. But I'm like, okay, all right. Curfew was 12 o'clock. He was 18. 12 o'clock curfew still, whatever. Woke up the next day. He wasn't home. So this happened. So for a couple of days, here I am out looking for him. I'm leaving papers in the door, hoping that, hey, I just miss him while I'm out, So actually for 3 days, we looked for him. So it wasn't that same situation. Like literally, my son left home, hugged me, kissed me, said, I love you, and I never saw him again. Like literally. I identified my son by his dental records and a bracelet that he wore. He was outside for 3 days. Summertime, so, what that can do to the body. Mm-hmm. So it's a very different situation. And with that, like you said, so many different conflicting stories of who was involved in this and that, So again, I know exactly where you feel like about to lose my life trying to get revenge and being angry, because these people know.
Yeah.
This was July 16th, 2016. So it's only now, in the coming years, like in the last year, that I'm starting to understand what happened, who was involved. So, to live these years without knowing exactly what happened. So yes. And of course, police officers, they like, oh, we're investigating, we're doing this, but then you don't get a lot of information. You don't know how many times you were shot. You don't know the circumstance. You don't know any of it. So yeah, it's a kind of very different situation,
I guess the question I want to ask was the case solved at all?
So, understanding yes and no, because it's like some of the participants have been sentenced, but then there's still so many different versions of the story that you just don't know who really was involved and who is still walking around, who may not be. Yeah. You got people who dead, you got people, so it's a lot of different
scenarios,
pieces to it. Yeah.
Was the case solved?
Yeah. But the point of the thing that I'm really lost with like the community sometimes, when they went to doing the investigation, everybody got ring doorbell. You know what I mean? So when they went to asking questions like, could they see this person ring doorbell, that person ring doorbell, everybody like, no, we didn't see that. You can't come to my house. I'm talking about we surrounded by ring doorbell, man, but nobody can say, oh, they seen this car pulled up, and we got one man live right in front of my house where the incident happened. He got a ring doorbell on his door. He refused to come to the door.
Wow. That's like me, $50,000 reward. Nobody wanted to say nothing.
Nobody want to say nothing.
Because we don't move into this culture, and this is a problem. This is a problem that I argue with. And this problem that I'm seeing a lot of people starting to step up and saying, I heard Young Jock talking about this recently. People get mad at Charleston White for talking about, how we should stand up and we should say something, because we don't got in this culture of don't tell, mind your own business, but it doesn't. The snitch culture that we don't got into like it's new. Yeah. It ain't new. It's just we've gotten to a point now, you know, I heard Young Jock say, man, we'll pledge allegiance to not snitching, but you letting people die around, you let people get killed around, but until it hits home, this when you want to know, this when you want to have information. You want somebody to tell something there, right? So, you know,
right.
where are you at right now, brother? And it's been how many years now?
This year be on October the 25th will be 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
Where you at mentally right now?
Man, we still thinking about him every day, man. We had a party from his 19th birthday, because he died on October. His birthday was November 11th. So we celebrated from 2018 all the way, and we just tried to get healing once we know he would have been 21. So we partied all the way from 19 till he turned 21.
So we have somebody that's calling in right now. Loving our communities. This is Dr. Howard, who I'm speaking with. Hello? Hello? Dr. Howard, anybody who I'm speaking with? Not coming up. Let him call back. Where you at right now, Ms. Annetta? I mean, I've been knowing you now for a couple of years, maybe a year or two.
Yeah.
Probably 2 years now. And I know you have a movement.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure the pain's still there, though.
Definitely.
But where are you at right now? Because I know you're fighting.
Yeah.
You're fighting right now. And one of the reasons why I wanted you on here, and hopefully I can have you back on the next couple few, because you have sisters like this, you know, that haven't really coped with it to some degree, like my brother has, and like you have. Really don't like talking about it. And I, you know, even as long as I've been knowing, I really don't talk to her about it. You know what I'm saying? Because I know it's something that you can't fathom. And let me share something real quick. Like, I'm on a different end of these stories, because I was part of a situation where somebody died. And even though I wasn't the one who pulled the trigger, I always took the accountability of I should have never been there, right? And I played my part in it. And I was on one day at time for it, but I was able to console with the family, and I had to deal with that on a personal level. But it was traumatizing me, because my mother had to deal with the stigma of your son for years, that your son killed somebody, right? And like, that bothered me. You know what I'm saying? That bothered me a lot. So I'm on the other end of it, but I'm grateful that a family was able to forgive me, right? And I didn't ask you where you was at right now, because I know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even know how to answer that, right? But have you found some healing to some degree? Forgiveness?
Now, forgiveness, let me say it like this. Healing, I'm learning how. I just don't, in my heart, I don't think my heart will ever heal. This is a hole that will never be filled, because it belonged to my son.
Yeah.
That part of my heart belonged to my son. Yeah. So I don't think that I will ever heal, but I will learn. And because of the movement, and because of beautiful sisters like her and brothers, I'm able to push forward.
Yeah.
I'm able to push forward. I'm able to keep going. April and May are two of the hardest months for me. And I can push, but then, I can push for a movement, but sometimes it's weeks before I can get off the couch. I'm on the couch. I have no strength.
Wow.
I'm in tears from sun up to sundown.
Exactly.
I mean, the pain is always there. Even when I shift my thoughts, because I work on my thoughts a lot.
Yes.
I refuse to stay in the low place of loss. I shift my thoughts to what he's gained. He's gained freedom, peace.
Yeah.
So I shift my thoughts to as much positive as I possibly can to keep myself from falling into that dark depression that I possibly wouldn't come out of.
Yeah, yeah. Same question to you, man. Have you found forgiveness, or is just you haven't gotten it yet?
That's a yes and no question, you know what I mean? Because I forgave in the courtroom, and I'm going to touch bases on this. He had a little co-worker to where my son and her was like this, where he used to work at, right? And in the courtroom, you know, when the situation boiled down to how it all started, she thought it was her fault. She was a little young Caucasian male, like 18, 19, like my son, right? So they was cool. So I actually forgave her right in the courtroom, right? But she was so like messed up in the head to like she felt like it was her fault because my son died because how she introduced the people to each other, right? She actually went home a few months later and she killed herself.
Wow.
Wow.
Because it was like a burden on her, like she thought she had something to do with it. But I forgave her and told her, no, you didn't know that man's intention. That man was new in town. He can't. When you introduced him, he had already had wickedness in his mind already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had already had a thought, you know. So I can't fault you for what he did,
Right.
you know. But actually, the guy, he actually get in courtroom, stood up, and you know he apologized to me and my wife.
Wow.
You know, he was sorry, but you know, sorry don't bring him back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sorry don't bring him back.
Yeah.
And see, when you talk about forgiveness,
Mm-hmm.
see, I can't say that. I can't say that I have forgiven, and I don't know if I have because I don't have as much closure in that area as you two do.
Yeah.
The person that was accused of killing my son was arrested 2 days after he was killed and has been incarcerated or in jail ever since, you know, for the past 4 years. Because we just marked over that 4-year mark, the 26th. He's been there. I've looked in his face only once. And when I looked in his face then, I really can't even say what I felt. I can't honestly say that I did forgive or didn't. But I think I probably could say I'm more on the, no, I haven't forgiven just yet.
That's a really tough thing too because like in my situation, like I said, there's a lot of moving parts. But the parts that I do know for sure were kids who used to sleep in my house, eat in my house,
Yeah.
be with my son.
Yeah.
And that's becoming more norm now.
Been on family vacation,
Yeah.
so it's like
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
becoming more norm now
Yeah.
where we seeing kids like you really have to watch these kids now.
Yeah.
Or people coming out now. I don't even think people are even letting too many people in their kids out no
Right.
more.
Nah.
Right.
You know, I was joking with the guys yesterday at the prison I work at, and I said I remember a time my mom used to tell me about certain people, right? Like, hey, now. You know, some of the certain people that at the time she didn't like, you know, they ended up being some good friends. But it was some ones that she did, man, that, you know, I should have, you know, kept my butt away from. You know what I'm saying? But I'm grateful to be in a position to be forgiven.
Yeah.
I prayed about it my whole time in prison. And I wanted to be honest with them and tell them what really happened. I was able to talk. I was able to sit with the family like I'm doing now and tell them what happened. And I was amazed because the mother said, I never believed you done it anyway.
Yeah.
She said, God spoke to me in the courtroom, and I told my family that. The part that hurt me the most was, and the reason why I don't jump is because we have a few minutes. Because we don't, sometimes our young kids out here, our young people who are making bad, or anybody that's making these bad decisions, right?
Exactly.
Whether they gang affiliated and all this, you know, or they trying to rob or whatever lifestyle they're living,
Yeah.
even just playing with a gun, your choices affect so many lives.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The choice of that young man took your son
Yes.
and made a young lady kill herself out of feeling guilty
Yes.
for something that she didn't have nothing to do with.
Yeah.
So that's lives affected. You know, whatever the circumstance with your child, but you're talking about a generation of young men whose lives are thrown away now.
Yes.
Right? Your situation.
Yes.
Same thing. So we lose on every side of this,
Yes.
and especially when a lot of it look like us, right? So I'm grateful to be on that part. The part that always keeps a stigma, you know, and when I do talk about is that when I found out that young man, that guy had kids, I was able to talk to one of the sons. The other son didn't want to talk, which I understood. I was cool with that. The lives that you affect, even though I didn't do it, and I wasn't even standing close to the house, even though I was even in the area of that mentality, it's still somebody's life was affected, right? And I thought about the other million other times I could have been involved in something similar and not realizing the impact that it has. And that's why I talked about the pain today, that all y'all have to endure every day. Waking up, want to smile, want to go have fun, but can never feel that joy again, right? Because I just left Monday from a friend of mine who just buried his son, who was wanting to come in today. Because, you know, now we're finna try to get on this move, something I was going to talk to you about. On all of everybody that I want to get involved in is you know, how we need to build a community of people together, because you need healing. You need somebody that you can vent with, right? Somebody I know that has your best interest at heart, because not the same circumstance, but something similar to the same circumstance. But, you know, you need somebody who can push you, because your son's life need to be expressed every day. You need to live through your son. That's what she said. My son gonna live regardless, right? Yeah. Same with you. And as we have a few minutes, I want to do something. I want each one of y'all, if you had to talk to first, two little quick things. One, if you had to talk to a parent who went through something similar, what would you tell them right now? Secondly, if you had to talk to a young man or young lady who's in the process of making some bad decisions, what would you say?
Just know where your kids at all times. You know, just, you know, it's not bad about checking up on them. You know, they got a new iPhone where you can check their location, you know. But some of the kids out here, they're making a bad decision because, you know, some of them don't have no guidance, you know. And just really just put them guns down, man. Because, y'all, you know, you're affecting a whole community and y'all don't even understand and don't even know. Yeah. So please just put the guns down, man. I lost my son for nothing. For nothing. He ain't had nothing to do with nothing. A student, A and B student, wanted to be a pilot. You know, he got his wings, but he got them the wrong way, though.
Yeah. Wow.
So,
okay.
Wow.
Angel, I want to, if you had to share something, what would you share?
I don't really know what I would say to the parent, because I'm still in that portion of learning to cope. But what I would say to the youth or anybody who's about to make a bad decision is, you might feel a way about that person. You might even kill them. But guess what? Once they're dead, they're gone. But you leave people like us who have to deal with it. We hurt, they don't. So you have to really think about that. And then it's two lives that's affected, because guess what? You might take the child or whoever it is away, but your family's going to have to deal with it too.
Yeah.
So you have to think about those decisions.
Yeah.
It's never worth it.
Right.
Huh? So then I asked you, I want you to go last, because you also have a movement that I want people to know about. And then there's hopefully a community now as we start building more community, because I think my encouragement and if I had something to say to all y'all, like, I want y'all to find healing some way. Because sometimes that, and it's hard for me to say this because I'm not in that situation, but my prayer is to see you find a place in your life where you can somewhat move on. Somewhat move on. I don't even know if you say you can fully move on. Somewhat move on, because sometimes that becomes a wall to everything, like relationships, you know, businesses, just everyday living. And at some point, you know, my prayer is that you'll find some healing. And because it's somebody else that's going to go through those situations that you're going to have to speak into, and God's going to put you in position to speak into their life. If you're still hurting, you're still broken, you're still in pain, you can miss out on the opportunity, man. Because as this young lady found guilt and went home and killed, that just blew me. I never knew that story, bro. Yeah. And like, that really bothers me. You know what I'm saying? That because a lot of our kids get involved in stuff, not even knowing, connecting with all type of friends. And one of my partner's niece was with a guy, and I think he asked him, like, you be hanging out with these type of guys? She said, man, I know this boy don't kill about 3 or 4 people I know for a fact. And I'm like, you really hanging around these type of guys like this? Like, is this cool? Like, yo, like, I mean, and there's so many kids are so much involved in stuff. It's unbelievable. If they would just snatch half these kids' phones in Atlanta, they probably can solve all type of cases. Because they talk about stuff everywhere. Right.
They video.
And what happens is they become callous to what they're doing too. Like, Because the more you do, you know, you've been in that street, you know how you do. The more you do it, the more callous you get. The more you get numb to it.
Right.
And by that time, you're either dead or you're in prison. And then next thing you know, you're 50 years old getting out of prison. 60 years old, you may not be getting out. Now your whole life is taken away from you. You know what I'm saying? So I want to give you that platform.
What I would say to every parent, if you have been in this situation or you're in this situation, you do not have to allow someone to take your child away from you. And what I mean by that is they can take the physical, but they can never take their spirit. They can never take their soul. I tell people all the time that I carried my son for 9 months on the inside of me. Everything I did for 2. So now I carry him in my heart. So now everything I do for 2. As long as I have a voice in the earth, Dre Charles Henry will have a voice in the earth. I live and he lives through me. So you don't have to just allow your child to just, once you put that body in the ground, you don't have to stop right there. It's a struggle, it's hard, and I'll never say that it's not. But just think about every time you speak about them, then they remain in the earth. And what I would say to every young person that is making these irrational decisions or what you think are the best decisions at the time, I want to say to you, stop and think about what you're doing, because you not only affect one person, but you affect multiple people. My son left a daughter who just turned 8 years old, and she was 2 at the time, 4 at the time. Well, what 2? I don't know. I can't get the numbers right. And that's another part of the grief journey too, just not being able to think half of the time. But my grandbaby will never really truly know her father. She don't get those experiences of father-daughter dances and, you know, just being able to jump up in his lap. And she's just like him. So she's loving and she's caring and she always wants to hug and stuff, but she won't get that from her father. So I would just encourage every young person, think about what you're doing. Think about what you're doing.
So if they need to get in contact with you, come speak, or your organization, how do they get in contact with you?
I'm Operation Recovery in partnership with Voices of Black Mothers United, which is a national organization where we support mothers to make movements. I'm on Facebook with Operation Recovery. I have website operationrecovery.support. You can contact me. I'm also on Instagram. You can find me Zanetta Henry or Operation Recovery. Reach out to me on either one of those platforms, and I will be more than glad to help anybody that I possibly can. And again, through Voice of Black Mothers United, we are really Operation Recovery teaming up also with MAGV and doing some great things to support mothers and siblings as well.
That's right. I know you do catering, right? How do people get in contact with you?
Well, on Facebook, Shell Boo Man, and there you go. Voila.
Wow. All right. I don't know if you're still doing that. You're doing so many businesses now. You got so many businesses going on right now. She keeps busy now. She keeps busy. Anything you want anybody to know about you, or you selling any type of business you got going on right now?
No, that's long live Gabe every day.
How about that?
That's my biggest thing.
Once again, thank you everyone for y'all coming, man. The courage to take to do this, man. You know what I'm saying? And my sisters, man, love y'all.
Thank you.
It takes a lot. I don't know if you can even talk enough about this in one episode. There's so many of them. Maybe I'll bring everybody back at one time and we'll just have them.
Yeah.
Because I really want these kids to understand the pain that comes with it.
Yes.
And I wish we can go inside some institutions and talk about this.
Yes.
Or even in these schools, you know, something national. But my brother that just buried his son who got killed at the MARTA station going to work, 15 years old. We're trying to do some stuff at over there about close to Tri-City at the gym. And I wanted to reach out to all y'all that y'all can start coming in wearing your, you know, your shirts and your tags and stuff, expressing your kids, because my goal was to look at when we sit these kids down, y'all need to be speaking.
Yeah.
Y'all need to come up there and speak. I can speak about going to prison, but I want to show them effects of some of the choices they make. They need to see live, mothers who are and fathers who are struggling with this, still struggling years later, still struggling.
Yeah.
It's a forever struggle.
Yeah,
Yes.
and that's going to be forever
Yes.
struggle.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
because I'm hurt here not even talking about this, because you don't get to deal with a grandchild. You don't get to have a grandson. You have a grand. She don't have the pleasure
Right.
to deal with that. She don't get that. So I know for her, this is just to even talk about it probably is tearing her apart. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't see how she makes it from day to day, but that's why I wanted you to connect with somebody that can help you maneuver through that. But I want to share this with y'all. My name is Omar Howard. Y'all know my organization, Freedom is a Choice, Inc. It's geared toward encouraging you to choose freedom over incarceration. I also got Transforming Lives Coaching and Consulting. Everybody know my platform. I'm mentoring. I'm working with kids. I'm speaking at schools, colleges, high school. Nationally sought out speaker. I'm traveling. Have a book out. But I want to say to the parents, stay in your kids' business. Pay attention to what they're doing, because a lot of our kids are getting into things sometimes they don't know what they're getting into,
Right.
and then things happen.
Right.
And
Exactly.
and I stand on this. Every kid that does make a bad decision is not a bad child.
Right.
Sometimes the people they're around, their peers, or the work or the problem. But watch over your kids, pray over your kids, and also to the young men. If it's a young man, young lady looking at this day, value your life.
Yes.
If I can say anything, it's just value your life. Know what value is. Have a sense of integrity. Love yourself. Love the people that love you. Remove yourself from people that don't have your best interests at heart.
Right.
Once again, this is Dr. Omar Howard, your life coach. This is Loving Our Community. This is the first part of the pain that comes with gun violence. Please put down those guns. Pick up a school book. Get back in
Yes.
school. Pick up a trade. And one of the main things, honor thy mother and thy father.
Yeah.
If you don't do anything else in life, honor thy mother and thy father. Once again, this is Dr. Omar Howard. This is Loving Our Community. God bless. We'll see you soon.